Section 1. You are going to hear a man applying for a driver's license. Take some time to look at questions 1 to 6. Now listen and answer questions 1 to 6.
How may I help you today?
I'd like to apply for a driver's license.
Okay, can you fill out this form, please?
Certainly. Excuse me, I think I need some help. Can you help me?
Sure. What is your last name?
Bahar. My last name is Bahar.
Can you spell that, please?
B-A-H-A-R.
Thanks. Can I have your first name now?
Sure. My first name is Abdul Ahad.
Abdul Ahad, are you married?
Yes, I have been married for 8 years.
Oh, good for you. Do you have any kids?
Of course, I have 1 boy and 1 girl.
That's good. Okay, now what is your address?
It's 2926 Northwest 2nd Avenue.
And what's your zip code?
876665.
Right. Are you an American citizen?
Good question. Yes, I am.
And what is your date of birth?
Date of birth? I am sorry, what's that?
It's your birthday. You know, the day you were born.
Oh, right. I was born on April 19th, 1961.
Before listening to the rest of the audio, take some time to look at questions 7 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 7 to 10.
Are you disabled?
Well, my legs sometimes hurt, but I'm not disabled.
Okay, only a few more questions. Do you wear glasses?
Yes, I need them to drive.
Do you currently have a driver's license?
Nope.
Last question. Do you have your application fee of $75?
Yes. Is a check okay?
Yes, a check is fine. Take your check to the cashier and they will help you.
Thanks a lot for your help.
This is the end of section 1. This IELTS listening practice is not endorsed by IELTS. Listening section 2. You are going to hear a man talking about how volunteering has helped his career. Before you listen to the recording, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now answer questions 11 to 16.
Hi, my name is Dan Perez, and I work for Wells Fargo Bank as a Wells Fargo at Work program consultant. It's a mouthful. And I am associated with United Way through the Workplace Volunteer Council. And I wanted to talk today about how volunteering has really helped me. And when I look at volunteering, I kind of look at it in 3 different areas. Skill development, how it's helped me in my career, and what I really love about volunteering. And when it comes to developing skills, what I've really like about volunteering is it gives me an opportunity to develop skills outside of my current role. Previously, I was a store manager or a branch manager with Wells Fargo, and had lots of opportunities to grow and learn in that role, but we're missing out in some key areas. And so volunteering really helped to fill those areas. And some of those areas that I would pinpoint would have been in networking, public speaking, interpersonal skills, working with other team members, even critical conversations. And they've really helped me to step outside of my box and really grow and develop. And I think of a perfect example. In the past, I've had lots of public speaking experience in front of small groups. When I stepped into the volunteering realm, I had to go from groups of 10 to 20 people to groups of 100 to 150 people. So definitely picked up the little stress level and the panic level on that. But it really helped me to build some important experiences.
Before you hear the rest of the recording, you have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now answer questions 17 to 20.
These skills have really come in to help me improve in my career. What I do for Wells Fargo as a program consultant is provide financial literacy to nonprofit organizations and businesses across a very large footprint. And unfortunately, in my previous role, I didn't have a lot of experience with doing things like facilitating a class or managing a large group of people that aren't in the same room. And I got a lot of those experiences from volunteering through the different organizations I'm part of. And so it really helped me prepare for this role and was one of the reasons I was recruited for this role. And I look at volunteering, and there's so many great benefits from it, but that's one of the benefits I think that goes understated, is every time you go and volunteer, every time you put on that volunteer shirt or those work gloves, you're learning a skill that will have some effect down the road in your life. And why I like volunteering so much is I'm a firm believer that we get more out of the investment we put into volunteering than probably the organizations we're participating in. I can think of one, for example, it's called Cafe 361. It's a small nonprofit here in Cedar Rapids where we team up with middle schoolers and high schoolers, and we do some really awesome things. And there's one person I work with every time I go there. Her name is Mariah, and she's had the biggest impact on my life of probably any person I've ever met. She has shown me how to persevere through tough times, how to overcome obstacles in your life, and I hope I've had the same impact on her that she's had on me. It's made a huge difference, and as I mentioned before, every time I volunteer, I'm getting so much out of it, whether it's developing personal and professional skills or just a really great feeling at the end of the day. I absolutely love volunteering. I don't think I'll ever stop.
This is the end of section 2. Section 3. You are going to hear 2 women talking about implementing Google Apps. Before you begin, take some time to look at questions 21 to 25.
Hi, good to see you again. Good to see you. So why don't you tell me about your Google Apps implementation plan and what you're thinking of?
Well, I have one, that we're rolling out Google Apps to our whole district this fall. And people are at different stages of knowledge about the initiative even happening. Some people already have accounts because they're in the pilot group, and then other people don't even know that it's coming or what the world it is. So what I'm concerned about is for those people who haven't heard about it yet, and that at the first mention of it will inevitably be super nervous. So I want to plan, how can we introduce the concept and this tool as in a funny way or something that's going to help reduce their anxiety in that moment.
And who else is involved in the project?
Well, I have Scott and some other people on the teaching learning team, and the IS team can help with the messaging too.
Okay, and so what have you talked about with your team so far?
We've talked about how are we going to let them know they have an account part. So we have an email written up of wow, you have a Google account now, and this is your password, and it's going to ask you to change it after the first time. So that's like the very basics of you're going to have an account. But for some people, they're going to get that email and be like, I didn't sign up for an account or whatever. So we do have sessions scheduled with some of the big programs already. So I guess one thing would be to make sure that at some point, like probably before October, we can get our faces in front of every subgroup of staff.
So you're thinking about what the barriers are going to be and what the challenges are going to be right from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And what are some of those?
Well, not understanding what it is, how it's different from what they're already doing. Or in the case of, especially a lot of the EAs, maybe they don't even do a lot on the computer. So why would they need to pay attention? And they might not need to pay attention. They might not use it because it's all going to be an optional thing, but I just don't want anyone to be like, they're making us do something that we don't want to do.
So one of the challenges is identifying who's actually even going to need to spend time with you on this.
Yeah, that could be. Or how much they need to hear right off the bat.
Before you hear the rest of the audio, take some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
And so some of the ways that you've thought about dealing with rolling this out, just tell me what some of your plans are.
Well, we do have like 1 and 2 hour like rah-rah sessions scheduled with some, but that's mostly licensed staff. So it's actually, talking this out is making me think about the EA training day. And then Scott and I could probably use that time to do something tailored. I guess it kind of is more the EAs that I'm worried about. How are they going to get a positive message about this? The licensed staff, we're kind of good. Like we know the foundational stuff we're going to teach and the examples we're going to give and stuff. But how we can twist it for the EAs to make them feel good.
So for people that you're not quite sure how much they're going to use it, how much knowledge they have, some of the ways to deal with making them feel more comfortable, what do you think might work?
Well, I think there's some great, like, kind of funny little videos to show what Google could do, and then just making them at least like it's not something you have to do, but there are those handful of EAs that are actually, they are leaders in technology for the teachers too, so I don't want to like disempower them. So there's I want it to be like, wow, I could do this, and like we're available to help you.
So are there constraints that keep you from bringing people together that are at the same place? Or do you have to do it program by program, or can you do it based on kind of differentiating by knowledge, experience, and desire?
Oh no, we could do that potentially. We kind of have some of those people in our mind, and we can go talk to them on an individual basis. Like, hey, you wanted to do this project last year, and now we have Google, now you can do it.
Okay.
Like, you have the tool now, and let's work on it. And we've been approached individually by some of the EAs too to learn better and get up to speed. So yeah, I guess we wouldn't have to have it be a blanket thing.
Okay. So it sounds like you've anticipated a lot of the problems that you're going to have and challenges. And so what's your biggest worries around planning this implementation?
Oh, I think that someone will get the wrong idea of what it is and kind of start to plant the anxiety seed around to other people who haven't had a chance to hear our message firsthand from us.
Okay.
So that's why I'd like to get it out there sooner rather than later, so there isn't time for any small or large group of people to feel like they've been left out or forgotten or expect to do something they're not getting trained in.
So ways to do that you're thinking about?
I think the big one now that I've talked with you is remembering that we have that whole day of where we will have contact with all the EAs in the district if it's like last year. So we can for sure get out a small message there. We can also, we know the sites where there's going to be a higher expectation from the manager that the licensed staff use it, so we can help focus on the other staff at those programs. That would be maybe a higher priority.
Okay.
And we can do some bulletin items, and we can talk with Jean too about doing like a booth at the welcome back. Some of those kind of feel good things. I have a few ideas.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got a lot of good ideas. And
this helps me to clarify which ones to focus on, I think. Yeah.
all right,
You know me, I'm always full of ideas.
well, great. I can't wait to hear how it goes.
This is the end of section 3.
This IELTS listening practice is not endorsed by IELTS. Listening section 4. You are going to hear a man giving a talk about how to improve listening in lectures. First, take some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen and answer questions 31 to 40.
In this video, we will consider how best to listen to lectures at university. Listening to lectures can be a challenge, especially if English is not your first language, if you're a new university student, or if you are studying a new subject. Some students report difficulty with the speed of delivery. It can be difficult to process a lot of information on a new topic in a second language. Each course will have its own terminology and a lot of new vocabulary to learn. On top of that, it may take time to get used to each lecturer's presentation style or pronunciation. Perhaps it's the first time you have heard an Australian accent, or English spoken by people from other countries. Since English is a global language, we need to get used to a variety of accents. While these may be challenges, there are two important research findings you should consider. 1. Students who go to lectures are more likely to do well in their degrees. And 2. Students who do not go to lectures are less likely to improve their English. This means that the worst thing you can do is to stop attending lectures. Success in this area depends on 3 things: what you do before, during, and after class. Before each lecture, you should prepare by looking at the material from the previous week to remind you of the new concepts and vocabulary. Then, refer to the material that the lecturer has put up on the Learning at Griffith site for the next lecture, and do any suggested reading. Research shows that preparation for lectures and other classes is linked to academic success. Also, don't forget to take material with you to class, either on paper or on electronic device. Finally, don't be late, or it will be harder to understand the topic. Try to arrive early. During the lecture, your job is to stay focused. Sitting near the front can be helpful, as you can hear better there and it will help your concentration. Don't text, use social media, surf the net or daydream. Try to be present in mind as well as body. It is important to be an active listener during the lectures because listening is not the same as hearing. How can you be an active listener? Firstly, you should follow the PowerPoint slides or handouts that the lecturer is using. It is also a good idea to take notes, either by hand or electronically. Even though you can access the PowerPoint slides and other materials after the lecture, Taking your own notes means that your brain is forced to be active while listening. This also stops your mind from wandering. You could also write down questions about the content or make a list of things to follow up on. The more active you are, the more you will understand and remember. When taking notes, use abbreviations. Some may be standard abbreviations, or you can create your own, but make sure you will be able to understand these the next time you look at your notes. During the lecture, ask your lecturer if something is not clear. Here are some useful questions. What do you mean by X? Would you mind explaining the point about? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that last bit. Could you say that again, please? Ask your lecturer to provide a list or glossary of new terms. If your lecturers speak quickly, don't be afraid to let them know that you are finding it challenging. After the lecture, it is a good idea to chat to other students about the content because this will help your brain process and recall new information. You should also look back at your notes within 24 hours before your memory starts to fade. Don't leave it until just before an exam to look back at your notes. You should always attend the tutorial as well as the lecture and complete any tasks and readings. It's also a good idea to listen again to the recording of the lecture. You can stop and start it if you need to, if there are any difficult sections. Learn new words from the lecture each week. Remember that listening to all types of English, at university and off campus, will help improve your listening skills. Listen to or watch the news every day. Listen to conversations around you in everyday life. Take every opportunity you can to speak and listen in English. This will help develop your listening skills for lectures and other situations. Over time, if you follow this advice, you will find that listening to lectures becomes easier. But you are responsible for making an effort. Don't give up. Remember that attending lectures is critical for your academic success.
This is the end of section 4.